So a question that often pops up is, Paul, how do you know your way around London? You seem to buzz about, you know where you're going. And do you use a truck nav of any description? So it's sort of a two-part answer to this, so I'll explain how. So when I was a young lad and they let me out the yard at 16, 17, I was working with a guy and we was erecting alley towers all round London, and that guy used to work for Danzus multi-drop-in, so he knew the West End city and everything like the back of his hand, and I used to pay attention. And if we got a job that we didn't know, it was pre-sat nav, I used to have the map book out and I'd follow it along, so on and so forth. So when I passed my own driving test, I was out doing deliveries of my own in the little halfback. I think it was a Nissan Cabstar it was, and I used to fly about in that. But I already had a good knowledge of where I was going because I was with this other guy. And I used to, if we got to a destination, I'd put a little tick next to it. And then as your map book filled up with little ticks and you got a new site, you'd go, oh, that's down the road from there. And that's how I learned. And all this stood me in good stead for when I sort of took me class 3, me class 2, me class 1 when I was about 26, 27. I already knew where I was going, so it wasn't such a big shock to the system taking a truck into London. So when I was about 34, I started doing the knowledge, which is learning to become a black cab driver. Now, I was at that for 4 years driving around London. So basically anyone that doesn't know, the knowledge covers a 6-mile radius from Charing Cross Station, which is basically Trafalgar Square, in any direction for 6 miles. And that is a real eye-opener. You think you know London, but when you start doing the runs, the Blue Book runs, and then you get onto pointing, I was up to sort of 5,000 points of interest. So I've spent a lot of time driving around London. So anyone that's done the knowledge will understand you're staring at the map, you're pinning up, you're drawing your lines in. And when it comes to driving a truck in London, I can just imagine that map, what side the river is of me, what way you're heading and things like that. I find it quite easy. So to the second part, do I use a truck nav? Well, if I'm cutting across South London, I do tend to turn mine on. I haven't got a truck nav, I've got an app on my phone, which I'll show you in a minute, because there's a lot of low bridges, South London, a lot of railway lines and things like that. So you need to be careful, especially if you're whipping across sort of, you know, like the other day from Wandsworth to Greenwich, you're using that sort of new cross out that way. It's a bit fiddly, lots of one-way systems. So let me show you the one I use. This is only available on Android. So this is Road Lords, and it's a very good free truck nav. It also gives you all weights of areas you're in, and it will pick through the best route you can because you can put the truck's preferences in. So as I'm showing here, you can put vehicle weight, vehicle length, your width, your maximum height, and you can add up to 3 vehicles at a time here if you're cab hopping. Also, the good thing with this app is you can download the maps offline if you haven't got a lot of data. Now, although it won't give you live traffic, you can plot a route. I've actually used it in America as well, downloaded the area I was in, and then just used it as a sat nav out there. So it does work very, very well. If you are lorry driving, truck driving, whatever, I'd stay away from Google because Google will always aim for as the crow flies, and you could find yourself, as you've probably seen on a lot of TikToks, getting yourself in a bit of a sticky situation. Even with the Road Lords app, you need to look at the road, take it with a pinch of salt and think, do I really want to be going down there? Am I going to be backing out the long way? Like that sort of thing. But it is a very good app. Let me get a quick picture of it. So there you go. It uses the same sort of preferences as TomTom, as you can see. So it does all the same sort of stuff. And it has been recently updated because it used to call roundabouts directional circles, which I love. I call all roundabouts directional circles now. I think that's a much better name. But there it is. There's a little story, a little bit of bollocks for you.